in Seattle, and you need to buy or sell a home, we'll be right there for you. Because we're the realtors that you can trust. So go to ronanddonsitdown.com.
You're listening to The Ron and Don Show on the Ron and Don Radio Network.
Hey, you guys, what's going on? Welcome to the Real Estate Only Show. You know, the show before us, you're the old Ron and Don Show. Just like we're around Cairo or KJR or The Buzz here in Seattle, Washington. But now, here we are on the Ron and Don Radio Network. And you know what's cool is we get to talk about something that we really love and love just as much as radio and real estate. It's a pretty great life, isn't it? Radio, real estate. What we try to do on this show, Ron, is give people kind of an idea. When we were coming up as young realtors and as young agents, we had a lot of questions about a lot of things. And some of the classes that we sat in were very valuable. And then other classes I felt were a waste of time, especially the classes that you have to take the state exam. Anything that we're going to explain today is not on the state exam.
No.
The state exam will give you 5 questions on a fee simple estate, but nothing on a median sales price that you're about to explain and whether a market's hot or not. How do I go out and actually build a business? How do I create a sphere? How do I lead gen? How do I follow up with people? And then really, what about the contract? And how do I understand the contract? And what do I do if something happens in the contract where we have not either met the duty on our side if we're the buyer, or the seller hasn't met their duty and they've broken the contract? What can happen as a result of that? What is earnest money? And where does the earnest money go when you do a deal and the next thing you know, someone's writing a check? Does that go in my personal bank account? Sometimes, but most of the time, it doesn't. So anyway, we do this show because we want to share with you, especially if you're a young agent or you're thinking about buying, selling, or investing. You might have some of the same questions, especially when it comes to pricing and understanding the market specifically here in Western Washington. And so what are we going to talk about today? Hot or not? I think you look hot today.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I made a post on social media when we went pending down in Covington.
By the way, watch us on Spotify or YouTube if you want to see the chart and Ron's explain. Because if you're listening to it, it'll make sense. If you're watching it, it'll really make sense. It'll really come alive for you.
So I made the post that, hey, market is heating up. And so one of the comments under the post was sort of like, hey, real estate people always say that the market's heating up. What do you actually mean? And so I thought about it, and I was like, you know what, that is a good question.
Good question.
And there are agents that just are hyperbolic all the time and just like, like they're being salesy. And so when I say that the market is heating up, I was like, well, let me go in there and see if I'm right. It felt like the market was heating up, and I had some anecdotal evidence based on the house that we sold getting multiple offers or that we're pending on. I have written some offers for Bob and Sandy where we didn't get it because there were 5 offers that came in. And so I was like, anecdotally and in talking to other agents, it feels like the market is heating up. So I was like, let me see if the data in the Northwest MLS is supporting this. And so this is hot or not. There's just an old website back in the day where people would vote on people's pictures. But is the market hot or not? And I chose 4 graphs. So let's see if we can explain this in 4 different graphs and trends. All of these are 1-year periods. And this is all 3 out of the 4 are for King County. The mortgage one is not for King County because they don't break it down for King County. So let's go through here and talk the first thing about median sales price. And so why is this a good indicator? Because if the
market's hot or not, we look at the median sales price. Is that what you're saying? That's the first thing we look at?
It's one indicator.
One indicator.
If the price is going down for the median prices in all of King County, I would say that the market is cooling. If the price is going up, I would think that the market is heating up. And so for 2025, this does happen every year. Usually the trend line, if you drew a 10-year graph, the trend line is going to be going up like this year over year. And then any one individual year has a cycle where you're going to see some peaks and valleys like the stock market or any other thing. Yeah. So in 2025, the median sales price was between $750,000 and $800,000. It then went up as you go through the springboard and into March, April, May, June. It peaked over $900,000. Some of that is due to supply and demand. Some of it is because the nicer houses houses on the top end, the $2 million houses, they have the financial wherewithal to wait for peak timing. And so that will drive this number up. Then it goes through and we get into November, October, those months where Don and I always talk about if you're trying to sell after Halloween, you have to sell for a reason like divorce or death in the family or something like that. Then we hit 2026 and the market is going back up again.
And what's going on in the market here are not just new homes, but some of the old homes that were pulled off the market in the fall of 2025. As you talked about, Ron, people have the power around here. If they have the power to keep paying that mortgage and they have the money to do it, they have the wherewithal to say, I'm going to wait for the springboard. I'm not going to sell in the wintertime during the holidays. People are distracted. So they do something called delist. I'm going to delist it. I'm going to sit, and 3 or 4 months from now, I'll bring it back on in the spring, and I'll really try to pop a number, and a lot of times you do.
So in this quadrant up here, if you're watching this on video, I'm going to say that is pointing towards hot. It's not as blazing hot as 2021, but it is hot.
Yeah, so and we're looking at 4 indicators. First indicator, median sales price. In 2026, the early... And again, I encourage you to look at the graph on YouTube. The early signs are, and the realtors that we've talked to, and our own experience in selling real estate throughout the Sound, is the market is heated up, just like you said.
Okay, so let's go to graph number 2, pending sales. So why is this a good indicator? Because all of these graphs are looking backwards in nature. All right, we're looking back in time and trying to predict future behavior based on what has just happened. Well, pending sales are houses that something has happened recently, within 30 days. And so that to me is a good indicator because I'm not looking back 6 months. I'm looking back a maximum of 30 days.
Yeah, what's really hard is when you're looking at pending sales, medium sales price that we just looked at, you make a great point. We're always looking in the rear view mirror and we're trying to establish what a home is worth right now. And that's why just looking in the rear view mirror isn't enough. So make sure your real estate agent, and you too, because you have a vested interest in this, if make sure you're watching homes that are selling in your neighborhood. Make sure that you're going to the open house in your neighborhood. And I don't mean homes that sold 2 or 3 or 4 years ago. I mean homes that sold 2, 3, 4 days ago, right? Because that's going to be more of an indicator of what's happening in the market now. Because at some point we want to start looking through the front windshield when we price it, and we have to look in the rear view mirror in order to understand where the market is sitting today. Is that hot or not? The pending sales say, hey, it's heating up.
And so similar graph is median sales price. That as we hit 2026, this number is going up. What does that tell us? People are putting in contracts. People are getting under contract. People are selling their houses and they're getting and accepting offers. So this quadrant to me says we're heating up. This one, days on market. And so is this saying this one's going down 25 to 26? Days on market is an indicator of appetite in a specific neighborhood. And so in some neighborhoods, we just did a sit down this week where the average days on market, I think, was like 60 days. Typically, though, that neighborhood had $3 to $5 million homes.
We're down in Covington. There were brand new homes down there that have been on for hundreds of days, right?
Yeah.
Because there was a builder down there, and the yards weren't big. The houses were newer. I didn't think the builds were great.
You could reach out your window and touch the house next to you.
Yeah. So he built a bunch of these, and then all of a sudden he got caught in the winter, and they're for sale. And it's like, wow, we'll just go get some more money. We'll sit on these things, and we'll try to pop them in the spring if we can. And so far, he hasn't popped any of those.
So as days on market at the end of 2025 was up over 40, the average for all of King County for every piece of real estate was up over 40. And now it's dropped down to between 10 and 20.
Yeah.
So that combined with these two graphs, all of this information coming from the Northwest MLS database.
That's not heating up. That's hot.
So that is saying the market is heating up. Yeah. And then my final indicator here is not from the Northwest MLS. This is mortgage applications over time. And so why is this important? Because most buyers need a mortgage. Sometimes here in Seattle, we have folks that can buy with cash, but generally people need a mortgage and they need to get a lender. And so when you look at mortgage applications over the last year, you have a situation where you see these areas in time where mortgage applications are really going up. So let's look at a couple of these. The first one here in June in September. These ones right here, to me, are people that are getting ready, Don. They are saying, hey, I want to buy. I want to get my mortgage application in. We need to get all the documents together. And so you see this surge in mortgage applications in these two moments. Then in January, you have a giant surge of applications for mortgages. This to me is people getting ready for the springboard. All right. The sophisticated buyer knows that this happens in the Pacific Northwest, and so they are getting their mortgage application in. I also think right here in this time is when you saw mortgage rates drop below 6 for the first time in years. And so some of these big numbers here are people refinancing. And then at the end, this one, Don is taking photographs during the segment here. The first one here, at this very end,
There you go. Okay.
is
It's hot or not? You're hot.
this last one here is when the war in Iran happened. Rates jumped back up over 6. But as you look at this graph, does that say hot or not?
Yeah. It says hot. Let me ask you a question. Every time someone picks up the USA Today and they read a story and somebody went and talked to the folks at Zillow, and this is what they're saying about real estate, and then we look at our market, and what's happening in our market usually is completely different. Why is it completely different? And the numbers that you pulled today, these are not national numbers. If you live in Western Washington, these are your numbers. It's very important that you don't pay attention to what the national sales guy for Redfin or Zillow is saying. Pay attention right now to what Ron is saying, right?
Yeah, these are only King County. Like I didn't want to do all of Washington State because that's going to skew the numbers. I care about King County because we live in King County. This is where predominantly our business is in King County. We do stuff in Island County and Pierce County and Snohomish County.
We do a lot of stuff in Pierce and Snohomish.
And those numbers will look similar.
Very
to
similar.
this.
Very similar.
They're not going to be exact, but they're going to be very similar.
And we could pull those numbers for someone in Snohomish or Pierce
correct.
or Island.
Your median sales price is going to be a little bit lower in Snohomish or Pierce County. Your days on market might be a little bit higher. Pending sales are going to be a little bit lower, but for the most part, they're going to be very similar. If we did this nationwide, when you put in states like Oklahoma and Iowa and South Dakota and some East Coast states, you're not going to see this. The amount of data points gets so large that these curves are going to really smooth out, but it doesn't really inform you as much. Unless you're wanting to buy a house in New York State, then maybe you do want to look at those national trends. For most people, though, they just care about what's happening.
Does this
locally.
surprise you with what's happening in the world? And there's a war that's not a war, that is a war.
An excursion.
An excursion. Is it surprising to you that this market is heated up and is this hot?
No, I think that what's going to be interesting to me is what happens next. Does this level out or go down after the war? These numbers don't include, war in Iran yet. And so the next blip on this chart is what's going to be intriguing to me. It seems like, again, anecdotally, with the listings we've had and with the buyers we've had, it seems like that this is holding true in spite of the war.
I see that because what I like to do when we're pricing a house is I drive around the neighborhood a lot, especially when we first get in like this house down in Covington. I think we were there a year ago. So I'll drive around that neighborhood a year ago. And then I'll write down addresses, and then I'll watch homes, and then I'll see what they sell for. And then when I go down there to maybe work on the house on a Saturday or something, I'll go to the open house, and I'll go in and I'll talk to the realtor, and I'll see what's happening, what the action's been like. And then a lot of times I'll talk to the neighbors. I'll ask the neighbors because many of them will have similar builds, similar homes, sometimes the same builder. And I'll ask them kind of what their experience is and what they think the house is worth. Because if you're a realtor or an agent out there and you have a hard time knocking on doors, you get to be a hero when you go into a neighborhood because it is a pop-up store for you. And maybe we should talk about that with lead generation and being a pop-up store, because you're going to be in and out of that house for the next year. When you go and introduce yourself to the neighbors and say, hey, my electrician's going to be here working on the house next door. Do you guys have any electrical work that you need done? I don't make any money doing it, but I just figured we want to be good neighbors. It's hard right now to find a plumber, an electrician, sometime a roofer. I'm an agent. I have a connection. Here's my card. Also, do me a favor, because people like to be tattletales. If someone blocks your driveway or makes you mad, or they're here late at night or something's going on, because a lot of times people have moved out of these homes, could you call us and let us know? And then you become friends. Like we have a house over in Kirkland. Barb and Ken, right? And Barb is an Imagineer with Disney Studios. So I got to learn all about what it is like to be she's an architect and an Imagineer, and she's worked on building some of the new rides that you see at Disney. A thrilling person to talk to and a great connection. I don't know if we'll ever sell their house, but I just made 2 friends, and as long as you're into a relationship and doing things and helping people, sometimes they'll turn around and they'll pick up the phone and they'll call you. So just make sure, if you're a young agent and it comes to lead generation, make sure you're just out there helping people, that you're out there in the wild helping people. How can I help people today? And those will turn into deals for you. Maybe not today or tomorrow, but down the road, I promise you. Those will turn into deals. Anything else?
Nope, I think it's hot.
Yeah, market's hot, you guys. Hey, thanks for listening to this edition of the Ron and Don Show. Don't forget, if you need us, we get pumped about real estate, you guys. And even if we don't do a deal, we still want to chat with you. We were on a sit down yesterday, and it was with a client that is in the medical profession. She travels all over the country and all over the world, and she's like, hey, I own a couple homes in Seattle, but I also own some real estate in some other places. I know you guys won't tell you. She didn't use the word honest. What was it? I know you probably won't tell me, but should I sell this house or not? Right? And a lot of times in our sit downs with people, I sometimes try to convince people to actually stay in their home. Or if there's someone living in your home right now, do they want to buy the home? Is there a neighbor that wants to buy the home? Never sell it to the neighbor. Never sell it to the person living in your home, unless you like to open up your window and take gobs of money and just throw it out the window. Or if you like to take out like a 4th of July, like a Roman candle, and just blow it at money and watch that money just disappear. That's what happens when you sell to your neighbor or you sell to the person that's currently living in your house. But what do I know? Ron and Don Sit Down. We'd love to sit down with you today. And in talking to her, I don't think we know whether she should sell that house or not, because we have to do an investigation now, right? We have to go out there. We have to see it. We have to see what's happening in the neighborhood. We have to see the condition of the house. We have to see the work that we need to do. And then also, when you get this pot of gold, do you need that pot of gold? Or are you going to spend that somewhere else?
Hold on, I thought it was a
gonna bring
gob
you
of
joy?
money.
What?
You're getting a gob of money, or you're getting a pot
Pots
of
gold don't burn.
That's a good point. Well, they melt.
Well, this market is so hot right now. Maybe the pot of gold would burn. Anything else?
Nope.
He's Ron Upshaw on social media. I'm Don O'Neill. You can reach out to us, DM us if you want to do a sit down, right? Best place to find me is on Facebook. And then also we have a website, ronandonsitdown.com. One side you see the radio. The other side you can sign up for a sit down, and we'll just jump on the phone. We'll do a Zoom like we did yesterday with this young lady, and we'll find out about your real estate journey, and we'll find out more about you. ronandonsitdown.com. We'd love to talk to you guys today. Hey, thanks. Matt off the mic's not even here today.
He'll edit, though.
Hey, Matt, thanks for editing. I want to thank Charlie the dog. He's Ron, I'm Don. I want to thank my son, who's our 7-year-old station voice that I absolutely love. Makes me cry every time I hear it. Head up, shoulders back. We'll see you next time. Yeah! We're listening to the Ron and Don Show only on the Ron and Don Radio Network.
Well, that's it. Show's over. We'll see you next time on the Ron and Don Radio Network.